Hello. Done with my work day for today. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my second solo concert yesterday. I went to a concert on my own for the second time. And it was a little bit different from the first time that I went to one. The first one was for Tame Impala. And that was amazing. I think it was spiritual in its own way. And this experience was also pretty fun and alleviating. And I just love loud music and a space to dance. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's something that I realized that I need to incorporate into my week to week, because my body stores a lot of energy that is not mine, a lot of energy that just feels very weighty, a lot of energy that really sucks a lot of the joy and peace and tranquility from my life. And yeah, it's a good release. Dance is a good release. And I hope that whoever is watching this remembers to incorporate something that gives you that kind of release. Maybe for you it's the gym, it's, I don't know, boxing, could be running, hiking, whatever it may be, but some sort of release. And the thing that I wanted to touch on was that while I was actually there were moments that I was able to kind of like snap out of a lot quicker than before. But there are moments when I was like, oh my God, am I feeling it too much? Like, am I experiencing joy to an absurd level? Or am I experiencing tranquility at an absurd level, at a level that is too much? Because that's something that I've kind of felt. Maybe if people didn't tell me directly, although sometimes I did receive those comments of like, okay, like, shh, or like, you're being annoying, or like, okay, you know, like, because sometimes I feel like I say something, or, you know, I make a joke, or I speak in a certain way, and there's no response. And I feel like, to me, that's worse than having a negative response, because at least I know that somebody heard it. But it's like, okay, like, what are you doing, you know? And I mean, I don't know why that is. Maybe I am weird. Maybe people don't like me. I have no idea what it is, but it still feels a little hurtful. And it does damage the spirit after multiple iterations of that. And so when I'm in public spaces, even when I don't know anybody, and that's usually what brings me a lot of comfort, not knowing anybody, like having that sort of anonymity. Even when I'm in those spaces where in my imagination, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the best version of myself. I'm going to be the most outgoing. I'm going to be the most grounded, the most confident. Even in those situations, I still sometimes find it hard to fully sink into that like persona, even though that's the kind of person that I do want to be like all the time. Whereas like I want that to be my main form of interacting with the world, because I know like life will get hard and those characteristics might not necessarily shift, but they might tone down depending on, you know, what's going on in my life. But yeah, I realized that I was having these kinds of thoughts where I was feeling a little bit self-conscious. One of the openers, the opener for the show, they were this like spiritual group. They led a meditation. It was like literally breath work and meditation with just like sounds. And I am such a sucker for these kinds of things. Like, seriously, I take that very seriously, or when I do yoga, like at a studio, I take the breath part really seriously. I take things that are spiritual for me very seriously. And sometimes I can get highly critical of people around me who aren't taking it as seriously. And I'm like, I get on this high horse, but then I get self-conscious because I'm like, wait, I'm not operating from a sense of certainty, but rather a sense of trying to maybe distinguish myself from others in a way that's sort of negative, in a way that's kind of like, oh, you're doing that wrong, you're doing spirituality wrong, or you don't take it as seriously as me, that kind of comparison. And I feel like that's operating from a lower vibration or a lower frequency. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why am I thinking these thoughts? Why do I care so much about how others live their lives? That's something I'm constantly coming back to, even if it's like, why am I caring so much about the way that people live their lives? Or like, why am I caring so much about just like other people in general, which is good, but also very taxing. Because you can get into that state of comparison, whether it's overly praising yourself or undermining your capabilities, because you're seeing these other people and you're like, oh my God, I don't have what they have, or I'm not like them. Or you come to these scenarios with other people from a place of like wanting to save them of like, I need to fix this for them, and that kind of a thing. But I guess going back to what I was saying, I think the main part is like, I was realizing that I really care a lot about what people are doing or what people are thinking around me. And I often use these external factors or these external entities to define myself. And I think that's essential to our self-concept, like looking at the external world around us and saying, okay, that's not me, and it gets you closer to knowing who you are. But I feel that I'm one of those people who has constantly and overutilized external validation. Perhaps not external validation in the way that I'm like constantly seeking someone to like say something good about me, but I'm constantly defining myself by like other people, if that makes sense. Like, I'm confident because I'm around this person who's not, instead of I'm confident because I am confident, regardless of the people around me, if that makes sense. And I don't like operating from that kind of headspace. And I was really glad that I was able to recognize those thoughts and be like, hey, shut it. It's really taken me a long time to kind of recognize that I'm feeling that way or I'm thinking that way, and kind of intervene. And it's not a one and done process, I'm still practicing. But yeah, it was pretty insightful. You can learn a lot of things about spirituality really anywhere you go. And I think joy is such a big part of it as well. I think joy is a crucial part in spirituality. Trying to distinguish that from desire, though, is pretty complicated. And that's something I'm still kind of grappling with. But, yeah, I think I'm kind of losing my train of thought for right now. But I hope that this resonated with you. And if it did, let me know of your favorite concert that you've been to and why it was your favorite. What was your favorite memory from that? What did you learn? What did you experience? Who did you go with? When was it? Where? Whatever you feel comfortable sharing. And yeah, I'm excited to go to more concerts on my own. It's such a fun experience. And yeah, I just learned a lot about myself. And yeah. Anyway, I have a couple other thoughts that are marinating quietly in the back of my mind. So hopefully those will be brought to forefront and I'll be able to relate some of those inner findings with y'all soon. But yeah, today I'm feeling a little bit more chill, at peace. Not really, but I'm okay with not having everything figured out, at least for today. Tomorrow might be a different story. But anyway, sending you lots of love. I hope you've been drinking water. Hope you've been spending some time out in the sunshine. And I hope you get some creative writing done today, or you read a good book. My Wednesdays, I'm naming them Writing and Reading Wednesdays. Yeah, I did a little bit of poetry. I wrote a little bit of poetry during work today. I was inspired by a couple of the prompts that we gave the students. So yeah, as I kind of develop my weekly routines, I'd love to share with y'all the different days and the different things that I do for each day to make sure that I'm taking care of myself spiritually and mentally, cognitively and physically, and also taking care of my moral compass, and taking care of the duties that I have as a citizen. For example, Tuesdays and Thursdays for me are public transportation Tuesday or public transportation Thursday. I might choose the Thursday one, but for sure Tuesday. Yesterday to go to the concert, I used the light rail that we have here. And yeah, trying to do the best that I can with what I have. Reminding myself that I can't and shouldn't always be moral. I remember reading this one paper about moral saints and how striving to be a moral saint would mean that you can't even use your words to make a joke, because being a moral saint would involve only using your words to communicate effectively or precisely, and making a joke is kind of a waste of words. So you don't want to be a moral saint, and especially you don't want to be a moral saint if you're a woman, because I think there are so many, oh my God, I'm talking about so many things. There's so many pressures for women to be not just moral, but also saints, pure, divine, just naturally caring or naturally beautiful, naturally this, naturally that. It's no, nobody's wired for that just based on sex. No, that's not how it works. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, and that relates to this book that I'm reading, The Left Hand of Darkness. So that's a book recommendation if you want to start reading a good book on Wednesday. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it here for now, and I'll talk to you all very soon. I already said goodbye. I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes ago, but you know how I am. Anyway, sending lots of love, lots of peace, and talk to you soon. Bye.